Welcome, everybody, to Township of North Frontenac's council meeting for Thursday, May the 21st. Please be advised, North Frontenac council meetings are recorded. By attending a public meeting of council, you are consenting to your image, voice, and comments being recorded. Members of council, staff, delegates, and attendees are advised that they may be subject to legal action if their actions result in inappropriate and are unacceptable behavior or comments. Okay, so we begin this meeting by by acknowledging and celebrating the traditional lands as a gathering place of the first peoples and their ancestors who were entrusted to care for Mother Earth since time immemorial. We do so respecting both the land and the indigenous people who continue to walk with us through this world. Today, the Township of North Frontenac is committed to working with indigenous peoples and all residents to pursue a united path of reconciliation. First item is approval of the agenda.
Moved by Councillor Good, seconded by Councillor Hage. Be it resolved, the council approves the agenda dated May 21st, 2026 as circulated.
Comments? Councillor Fowler. No, it's the next item. Okay, so we're just looking at the agenda, Fred. In favor of the agenda? Carry, we have an agenda. Okay, item 4, disclosure of pecuniary interest in general nature thereof. Councillor Fowler, you're up.
Councillor Fowler?
Yeah. Guys are getting all messed up today.
Can you repeat that?
Section 11E, I'm involved in the North Frontenac Backroads Studio tour.
Deputy Mayor.
I have a conflict to declare, item 11E. I'm a member of the North Frontenac Fitness Group, and my wife Glenda is the vice president of the community volunteer group.
Councillor Hage.
Same 11E. I'm a board of director of the Lions Club, Land O'Lakes Lions Club, so also conflict of interest there.
All noted. Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, so we have item 5, business profile. We have none. And presentations, we are privileged to have Steve Pegram representing the Frontenac Ontario Provincial Police Detachment Board. He's the chair, and he's here to provide presentation on what's happening there. Floor is yours.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council, and township staff. As chair of the Frontenac OPP Detachment Board, I'm pleased to be present here tonight to provide you with the board's 2026 annual report. Section 68(1)(f) of the Community Safety and Policing Act requires that the Detachment Board presents its annual report to each member municipality and band council by June 30th of each year. The composition of the board remains the same as it was last year with one exception. Fred Fowler replaced Stephanie Regent as the municipal representative for North Frontenac. The council representatives from each municipality have been listed, as are our community representatives, provincial appointee, and a representative of the Chibolo-Bajuan First Nation. Broadly, Section 68 of the Act defines the roles and responsibilities of the Detachment Board. These areas are depicted on this slide. Based on the defined roles and responsibilities, the board established the noted priorities to complete during 2025. As with any new body, a significant portion of the board's time this past year was dedicated to establishing and formalizing the board's policies, procedures, and bylaws. As a result of this work, the board now finds itself in a good position in terms of legislative compliance. As noted, a board priority was to establish its annual budget. The Detachment Board requires adequate funding to meet the requirements of the Act and its regulations. An arbitration process is available in circumstances where the municipality and the board cannot come to an agreement on the budget request. As noted on this slide, the board's budget of $50,300 this year is the same as it was for 2025. At year's end, the 2025 budget had a surplus of $3,785.29, which has been dedicated to a reserve fund. As I advised last year, this reserve fund can continue to build to a maximum of 50% of the annual budget. The purpose of this fund is to cover unanticipated expenses such as legal fees. To provide you with some perspective on the Frontenac OPP Detachment Board's budget, I will provide you with the following information. For 2025-2026, OPP Detachment Board budgets ranged from a low of $44,000 to more than $107,000. Our board's largest budget costs are listed in the final bullet point of the slide. While the board is still really in its infancy, we're beginning to get a better understanding of our ongoing expenses, and at present, I do not foresee any budget increases. In an effort for transparency and to assist the public in accessing information, a detachment board website has been created. The links and the information available on the site are listed on the slide. The cost associated with creating and maintaining a standalone website for the board was excessive. It was in excess of $20,000 to do so. Accordingly, a decision was made to house a separate link to the detachment board on the South Frontenac website. Both North and Central Frontenac link to this site for the detachment board. By simply querying the board's name, the user is taken to a separate page on the South Frontenac site that provides access to the information that's listed. During 2025, the board worked with the detachment commander to prepare the 2026 to 2029 local action plan. This document outlines a high-level view of how adequate and effective policing will be provided to the area the detachment serves in accordance with the needs of the local population and having regard to the area's diversity. The action plan outlines the objectives and priorities for the detachment, along with quantitative and qualitative measures to ensure that objectives and priorities are met. There are three broad main areas of focus on which the objectives and priorities are based. These areas are crime, roadways, waterways, and trails, and community well-being. Each main area is then broken down into commitments, what will be done, actions, how it will be accomplished, and desired outcomes. These are the quantitative and qualitative results that I spoke about. For the purposes of this presentation, I will provide you with a couple of examples. But before doing so, please note that the action plan submission is still in its final approval stages at the OPP command level. I anticipate that this document will be approved in the very near future. So in the area of crime, the commitment is to reduce and prevent crimes against persons while increasing the support for victims, particularly those affected by intimate partner violence. The actions for that are work alongside community partners to provide educational sessions on intimate partner violence awareness within our communities, provide enhanced training for frontline officers on intimate partner violence with a focus on the creation of an intimate partner violence unit, seek additional funding opportunities for our victim advocate program, and the desired outcomes. Detachment abuse issue investigators can provide investigative support to frontline officers and thereby ensure our victims are afforded the support and resources necessary. An increased number of victims supported and an increased time spent with victims is an anticipated result. Under the heading of roadways, waterways, and trails, the example I'm providing is the commitment is proactive enforcement and visibility in our detachment area, continuing to focus on the causal factors of collisions, these being speeding, aggressive driving, distracted driving, impaired driving, and seatbelt violations. Target local trends in traffic safety and enforcement. And the actions under this section are track hotspot areas with supportive municipalities and conduct targeted enforcement in those areas. Make proactive enforcement part of the regular patrol day. And the outcomes, increased number of data-driven patrols and initiatives based on analysis and community input, resulting in positive traffic safety outcomes. This final slide provides you with some high-level yet noteworthy statistics from the past year. While I'm always cautious not to read too much into statistical reports, they can provide us with a view of trends over time. The board will continue to monitor the increase in calls for service and the potential impact this has on staffing needs. Year over year, the increase was a modest 1.2%. So I believe most of the increase that you see on that slide compared to the 5-year average may have been due to the impacts related to the pandemic. The number of traffic fatalities occurring is stable compared to recent years. Although with relatively low numbers, we all know that one multiple fatality collision can significantly impact this trend. I think the most notable is the decrease in non-fatal and property damage collisions. This could be related to the noted increase in the number of charges for speeding, distracted driving, and seatbelt infractions, and the subsequent deterrent effects this might have. Enforcement levels have also increased in both criminal code and provincial statute areas. And you will note there has been a reduction in the number of reported property crimes. You've no doubt heard in the media about charges laid against some police members in large urban centers. This is a direct result of these issues and the relating matters that the Inspector General of Policing has announced a province-wide inspection focused on police integrity and anti-corruption practices across Ontario. This inspection will examine both police services and police service boards and will assess current practices, identify risks, and support improvements across policing and the governance framework. At present, I am unable to provide any information on the timing of when this inspection will involve the OPP and our board. I have and will continue to provide each of our member municipalities with the full details of the inspection scope, terms of reference, and other pertinent information as it becomes available. I trust this presentation has provided you with an appropriate high-level overview of the detachment board's work over the past year. I believe there has been significant progress in ensuring that we are operating in full compliance with the legislation. Our 4-year action plan is focused on addressing community needs and any identified trends that will help ensure continued community safety. Thank you very much, and I would be happy to take any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Steve. Any questions? Councillor Fowler.
Mine's not a question, it's a comment. Thank you very much. That was really a good report. Thanks.
Councillor Pikesh.
I have a few questions for you related to the report. I found it a little bit kind of unclear in lots of things, lots of ambiguities. And if I may, I have a few questions for you. For example, the budget. You mentioned in the budget there was a surplus in 2025, yet you maintained the same budget for 2026, which means that there will be an expected surplus. Is that normal? Is that regular?
The reason why we didn't adjust, through you, Your Worship, the reason why we did not adjust the budget this year is we want to build that reserve fund to be in place so we can pay for things such as legal expenses. It would be my experience that a police board, whether it be an OPP detachment board or a municipal board, will encounter over time some fairly significant legal expenses. And as noted on that slide, legal expenses has been one of our more significant expenditure costs over the past year. I would anticipate that will continue to be the case.
Okay, and you also mentioned in the report that as a council, we just we can't see we can't approve line by line. We just approve the whole budget. Can we see those line by line items, what you are spending this budget on? Is it our prerogative to have a look at that, or just to approve the budget, 50,000, whatever it is, and just say yes or no?
Yeah, that, the line by line information of the budget is publicly available, so certainly council could see that.
Okay. Couple more questions, Mr. Mayor. You mentioned also something about the strong mayor powers. Has there been any, is there something that prompted mentioning this in your report?
Only so much as that the strong mayor powers do not apply to a detachment board's budget request whatsoever.
Has any municipality mentioned or raised this formally or informally? Is it?
They have not.
Okay. Two more questions.
Yeah. Okay, is anybody else have questions? If not, I'm going to give the floor back to Mike. Okay.
Yeah, okay, thank you. The statistics, I found it kind of weird when you say between 9 and 65%. That's a huge range. It's kind of, it doesn't give me any data or any information between 9 and 65%. That's as if saying between 0 and 100%.
I'd have to go back to that slide.
Please.
Yeah.
The last page.
Yeah, so criminal code charges increased by 9%. Provincial statute charges increased by 65%. And I concur that that way that's laid out on that slide could be not clear, but that's what it was.
Okay, all right. Thank you for clarifying that. One final question. You mentioned that there is the minister-appointed position has been vacant. Has there been any steps to fill that position?
We have made a number of inquiries as to when that second provincial appointee position will be filled. There are a number of vacancies throughout boards in the province, and they have provided us with no timeline as to when that will be filled.
Thank you.
Anyone else have questions? Seeing that, thank you. I appreciate it. And you can wave goodbye to the friendly moose on your way home.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome to stay if you want. Other than that,
Thank you.
Moved by Councillor Hodge, second by Councillor Good. Be it resolved, the council receives for information the presentation from Steve Pegram, Chair of the Frontenac Open Detachment Board, and thanks him for his time spent today.
In favor? Resolution's carried. Okay, item 7, delegations. We have none. Item 8, adoption of the minutes from May the 1st, 2026.
Moved by Councillor Good, second by Councillor Hodge. Be resolved, the council adopts the minutes of a regular meeting of council dated May 1st, 2026 as circulated.
Comments? Okay, in that, well, actually, I'll wait till later for it. Okay, all right, in favor of the resolution? Carried. Business arising, there is none. Item 10A, communications of interest. Tara?
Moved by Councillor Hodge, seconded by Councillor Good. Be it resolved, the council receives for information Section A items of the clerk's administrative report entitled Communications of Interest.
Comments? In favor? Carried. Okay. Item 10B, residents concerned electric vehicle charger, sorry.
Moved by Councillor Good, seconded by Councillor Hodge. Be it resolved, the council receives a letter from Karen Anderson, Environmental Chair, District A3, Lions International, suggesting the township consider buying and installing solar panels to generate electricity and the battery storage system to store the power until required to power the EV chargers. And the council instructs the manager of community development to look into options and costs for solar panels and battery storage systems and report back to council.
Comments? Councilor Fowler,
Do we have an idea how much that would cost?
I think that's what, I think it could be a lot, but that's what we're asking Brooke to do. And I assume that she'll be dealing with the environmental task force as well, because they have a lot of that information, right? Deputy Mayor?
So this is already being discussed at the environmental task force. There will be a presentation by Darwin, I believe, in 2 councils from now, talking about solar panels. So we'll have more information then.
Okay, so this involves the Tesla Powerwall.
We've discussed all this at the environmental task force. So we'll come to a presentation in a
I
couple
was
of weeks.
reading the minutes, I saw some of that in there. Councilor Haig?
Okay, so I understand that the environmental task force is doing a great job and discussing the whole about the municipality in general and the building. This is specifically about the EV charging station. Is that also a focus point? Is that
So
being
we've
discussed?
talked about this at environmental task force many times. It will be presented in a couple council meetings.
Right, thank you.
No, we appreciate, we're receiving it. It's always good to have another opinion and help direct focus. Okay. No, I don't think so. Anybody else have any other questions or comments? Okay.
And that council instructs the manager of community development to look into the options and costs for the solar panels and battery storage system and report back to council. You want the EPF or the
No, hang on.
consultation or
I don't think that's gonna come from, it will come from the environmental task force. That's the
Council
presentation. Yeah. Why don't we just defer this letter to the environmental task force? We're already
Yeah.
talking about it. So.
Instead of, Brooke will probably say thank you. Well, let's move it from the manager of community development to the environmental task force. How do we do that? I should know this by now. Really good.
So the amendment reads, and that council refers this item to the environmental task force to look into options and costs for solar panels and battery storage systems and report back to council.
Final comments? In favor of the amended resolution? Resolution's carried. So now we move to item 10B2, seniors and accessibility for seniors month 2026.
Moved by Councillor Hodge, seconded by Councillor Good. Whereas Senior Month is an annual province-wide celebration, and whereas seniors continue to serve as leaders, mentors, volunteers, and active members of this community, and whereas their contributions past and present warrant appreciation and recognition, and their stories deserve to be told, and their knowledge and experience continue to benefit all. And whereas the health and well-being of seniors is in the interest of all and further adds to the health and well-being of the community, and whereas the 2026 provincial theme, Ontario Seniors Let's Get Moving, highlights programs and initiatives that promote wellness, social engagement, and education for seniors. Therefore, be resolved, the Council of the Plains, June 1st to 30th, 2026 is Seniors Month in the Township of North Frontenac. And the Council instructs staff to use the provided materials to celebrate Seniors Month in North Frontenac. The Council will celebrate the Senior of the Year at the June 11th, 2026 Council meeting in honor of Seniors Month.
Comments? In favor? Carried. Okay. So that takes us down to item 11A. We're looking at Shore Road allowance closure, approval in principle, sites and way.
Moved by Councillor Good, seconded by Councillor Hodge. Be resolved, the council receives for information the clerk planning manager's administrative report entitled Shore Road Allowance Application for Approval in Principle, Deeds and Way. And that council approves in principle the application to close, stop up and sell part of the Shore Road allowance as described below. Part of the Shore Road allowance lying in front of part of lot 36, concession 13 on registered plan 13R 11394, part 4, geographic township of Clarendon on Fan Lake. And part of the Shore Road allowance lying in front of Lot 307, Plan 1045, Geographic Township of Berry on Cashewak Lake.
Comments? In favor? Carried. Okay. That takes us to 11B, Shore Road Allowance Closure and Bylaw, Moradori Cote.
Moved by Counselor Hodge, second by Counselor Good. Be it resolved that council receives for information the clerk planning manager's administrative report entitled Shore Road Allowance Closure and Sale Bylaw, Moradori Cote. And that is required by bylaw 2025-04. The following be declared as surplus and sold to the adjoining owners. All that part of the original Shore Road Allowance described as fronting on Lot 7, Concession 6, and part of Lot 7, Concession 6, lying in front of Lot 4 on Register Plan 1535, Geographic Township of Clarendon, Big Ball Lake, being parts 1 and 2 on Register Plan 13R 23533. An appraisal of the property is not necessary as this is a Shore Road Allowance. And the council will consider a bylaw later in the meeting to stop or close itself of these portions of the Shore Road Allowance.
Comments? Mike?
The report mentions that, let me read here, as part of the registration of the bylaw, the application for PIN, the township solicitor will complete additional title search. Has the solicitor identified any risks that will impact the final bylaw?
So the solicitor always does a title search and gets our PIN for us, and that happens after the bylaw. So they register the bylaw, but in order to do that, they have to get the PIN. In this case, part 2 is a little bit different. So there was some surveying done when the original plan of subdivision was completed, that allowed for additional Shore Road allowance. So I've been working with the surveyor, and so they have gotten confirmation from the registry office that the township does own part 2, but we will have our lawyer double check that in this case just to make sure before we can't transfer if we don't know.
So my follow-up question is, are staff satisfied that the survey discrepancy history has been resolved? Okay, well, thank you.
In favor? Carried. Okay. Item 11C, Joint Compliance Audit Committee for the 2026 municipal election.
Moved by Counselor Good, second by Counselor Hodge. Be resolved that council receives for information the clerk planning manager's administrative report entitled Joint Compliance Audit Committee for the 2026 municipal election. The council will consider a bylaw later in the meeting to appoint the members of the 2026 to 2030 Joint Compliance Audit Committee, and that if an application is received for the Township of North Frontenac, council instructs the treasurer to transfer the required funds from the council election reserve fund to cover the applicable costs.
Comments, questions? Okay, seeing none, I have a couple. This is for the entire county, right? I know who Wayne Robinson is, but where do the other 3 come from?
One is from South Frontenac and the other one is also from Central Frontenac. One was a former treasurer for the municipality and the other one is an account. Okay.
Names and what? Oh, okay. In favor of the resolution? Carried. Okay. So item 11D, proposed sign concept, Lebanon multi-use recreational facility.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Hudel, seconded by Councillor Hermer. Be it resolved, the council receives for information the manager of community development's administrative report entitled Proposed Sign Concept Lebanon Multi-Use Recreational Facility. And that council approves this proposed sign concept design for the Lebanon Multi-Use Recreational Facility as presented in this report.
Comments? Deputy Mayor.
I think the sign looks great. If I just make one suggestion, you have on pictograms, the pickleball skating and the events. But then right below it, 2 lines below, you've got pickleball skating and events and more again. I don't know if that's really necessary. It just adds more clutter to the sign. That's just my opinion.
Okay. Councillor Haig.
I also find the sign very nice. It's really good, but I'm not clear about the size and can it be read from a distance? Like what size is it? And because there's lots of writings in there. Just make sure that it can be read from a distance, especially for people like me wearing glasses. Other than that, looks really, really nice.
Anyone else? So I have a question. So this is with the slight modifications, this is what we would like to see. What if we open this up to the public and ask them for their input? We would, then it might take 2 or 3 weeks. We could have anybody could recommend their sign. And we could have an independent committee select 2 or 3 and put it against our sign, and then council would pick out of the say 3. That's a lot of work. Yes. Okay, that was just an idea. Okay. And you know, you still think about soliciting buy-in? Okay. All right, in favor of the resolution? We have a sign, okay. Okay, so item 11E, this is the big one, 2026 community grants. You have to read all this. Okay, please do that.
Moved by Counselor Hermer, seconded by Counselor Good. Be it resolved, the council receives for information the Manager of Community Development's administrative report entitled 2026 Community Grant Application.
So I have I want to make a comment here before we get into this. There is an application for $693 from Clarendon Middle School here. So let's go back 2 years. This fund originally had $10,000 in the fund. And we took out $1,000 to give it to the school every year. Because they had to apply every year, and we said that shouldn't be. And I'm one of the most ardent supporters of the school and making sure they have enough funds and whatever. But they're already getting 1/10 of this. So I'm not so sure we should consider their application as part of this. If there was more money available than it was actual grant or sorry, application, I have no problem. But I don't think we should penalize somebody because somebody else is already getting that full $1,000 and it doesn't have to do anything for it. They just get it. And that's when you read the report. That's where that went from 10,000 to 9,000. And I remember Wayne and I went back and forth a bit on this, and we were clear that 1,000 had to come out of the 10. So we're at 9. That's how we got it. So who's in this, by the way? You and I, Wayne and I, and Vern. So that's my thought. So that's, if we take that out, we're still about $600 short. And my thought is if you don't give it to a fitness club, well, I have issues with that. But if you don't give it to a fitness club, you can't give it to them all. You give it to one or all. Why don't we take there's $1,000 for toys for the Christmas Santa Claus parade at Pampa. And before we've never put any money into it at all. Why don't we cut that from 1,000 to 700? They also get money from Clare Mill volunteers. And the Lions Club, no matter how great they are, why don't we try to get 300 from them? We're done. That's my thought. And I will suffer the wrath of the public on the public school, but they are getting that $1,000. Corey?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, can I just ask, are there other groups on there who would be also so we have this portion, but we also have other groups that we make the automatic donations to. Are there other groups in that same boat as the school? I know you're coming from, Mr. Mayor. I just want to make sure that because we've got to think about everybody here, right?
Year, I think we gave money to the school, but we had less. We didn't have the 10,000. We didn't have 10,000 in requests. This year we have over, which is kind of nice to see.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we were over last year as well, and we did approve the overage, but it was about $600. So both the Land O'Lakes Lion Club and the Alta Savannah Parade both annually receive $400 automatically each. Um, And then, yeah, North Arlington Education Center receives $2,000. And Clarendon Central Public School, I thought that was in there.
I'm just talking about the annual ones. I think we have quite a few of those that we do annually as well, so.
Really hard at budget time to balance everybody right across the whole township. So my thought is if we give too much money to the Lions Club Parade, then the opera parade could come back to us and say, well, you're only giving us 400, you're giving them 700, whatever. I don't want to start a domino effect. That's what I'm thinking. Not that the Lions doesn't deserve it. If they do, but at some point in time, what's the biggest bang for the money that we've got? Brooke?
Mr. Mayor, there is another option as well that wasn't listed in the report, is to just take off 12.54% off of every grant and then approve them all. They all just get a small reduction and then we're within budget.
What do you think, Vern?
Well, that would be fair to everyone, but then again, I think some have a higher priority than others as well.
Like I usually go through this pretty quick, but I've got 3 or 4 pages here. I'm scribbling those last night, trying to balance this off. Wayne?
For the weights and all this kind of stuff. I got a room in my basement that has like half these weights and things there myself. So I just, I know there's a fitness organization in Norfolk there that they charge people to come in there and work out and everything. This is all free. I don't. And like Vern said, like there is ones that require the grants more, like I like give it to the school, the kids and that. But when they're already getting a fair bit of money, then it just keep adding up, and once you get money, you want more.
I honestly think that they probably forgot where that $1,000 went, or what it was for. It was a couple of years ago, and here's the opportunity again. If we, like I said, if we had lots of money and didn't have the applications for it, I have no hesitation, but we do. We haven't put a lot of money into the Cloyne Harlow area this year. I know we did some work on the buildings and so on, whatever, so I like to make sure some of the money was there. But I'm not particularly in favor of cutting everybody 12.84% because the school's still there. There is the haunted walk. That could very well be in a construction zone. So Brooke, when do we expect that roof to be finished?
It's anticipated by the end of July, so it should interfere with that unless something drastic happens.
Okay.
The haunted walk, $1,000, that's a brand new program too, like. You know, for materials and safety improvements, but the props, you know, is it really necessary? I hate to repeat one of the previous councils from years ago, but it's needs and wants.
When you read the report or read their application, they've ran this for the last couple of years out of their own pocket?
They collect donations in the community, and per our policy, they have to have operated for 2 years, so they haven't been able to apply in the past. This would be their first year where they're eligible to apply, because they have to be in an organization for.
Okay, well, I hate to, that's the program requirement.
A few other things as well, but that was the main reason they haven't applied.
Okay, so what would you think if, gentlemen, if we cut that and took $100 off the Lions Club and took $100 off them, kids at off of. And that's a new one too, for us. We don't usually contribute to the fire hall, right, or the Christmas party.
It's kind of in conjunction with the parade, which we do provide $400 annually.
Right,
But
no,
last year and this year, I believe, was the first time they asked for the additional.
okay, so Vern,
Well, I understood that the Frontenac County Board of Education was going to install air conditioning in all the schools, so why are we providing?
well, that was my point. Okay, it's only one portable air conditioning unit. I don't know how big it is, but those rooms are fairly large. So, and we are giving them $1,000 carte blanche. It's really built into our budget every year to do with whatever they want with it. So, you know, it's like, so there's $9,000 left. We take the school out, we still need about $600 difference. So if we take the school out and you agree to that, where do we take the other 600 from? You want to take it from one source, or you want to spread it around, or what would you like? Wayne?
I know some people don't like to hear this, but the astronomy club, like I said, they come in the dark, they leave in the dark, they don't need money. So we take some money out of that.
Vern,
I'll go along with that.
how much you want to take out? I think it's a good asset. I really hate to do that, but then after we're finished here, I want to ask Tara how we're able to do this, because we don't have an obvious form going. Okay, so. Well, how much would you like to take off there? Vern,
I agree.
where'd the other three come from? The hundred watt? Where'd the other three come from? We need 1,200. 1,290, so you need 1,300, so 700 comes from taking the school out. 300, still need another 300 to go. Pardon?
I said, I spoke my choice, somebody else's turn.
If you go back to where we've been putting money this year, we're putting a lot of money into into Plevna. And we have another whack of cash going in later this summer and next year with sewers and the roads and everything else. So much as I'd like to give them, but and they've been operating on their own, why don't we take the other 300 out of there?
I don't know which one.
100 watt. Reduce it to
100 watt.
700.
Yeah.
And the astronomy club is 700. You're good with that?
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Okay. Before we go any farther, Tara, can you explain to the public and to us how we're able to operate with less than 4 people?
So there is a special provision that allows that when members declare pecuniary interest, they're not included as part of quorum. The only stipulation is that you can't go down to less than 2 members. So if we only had 2 members, then I'm not really sure what happens. But in this case, you have 3, so you're fine. And that will help the quorum. Okay.
Okay. So you, gentlemen, you're both okay with that? The school, 100 watt, 300, and the astronomy club, 300. Okay,
Mr. Mayor, if I may, that still creates an $80 over budget. You want to make those both
yeah,
whatever,
take the school off and whatever's left divide by 2.
yeah, 340. Okay, yeah, 340 off of both the astronomy and the hot pit.
No. The school is $693 and change.
$610.19. So we'll get,
610, not 90.
yeah, we'll get rid of
Okay.
that completely, and then $340 off the astronomy and $340 off the haunted wall.
Got it. I don't like making those kinds of decisions. No. If, you know, this could easily be another $10,000 worth of requests on top of this. So maybe we have to think about if we can do it a little better next year. I don't know, there's some kind of criteria we can have, or you have to think about that. We'll leave that with you for now. Okay, so we have to vote on this? Or do we have to list all this stuff? Yes. $700. Oh, sorry. Works gonna do that. 660. They could charge for that. going in there because there's so many people that are so dedicated. Okay, floor is yours.
Be it resolved, the council receives for information, the manager community development's administrative report entitled 2026 community grants application. And the council denies $610.19 for the Clarendon Central Public School Parent Council for the purchase of one NOMA 1K SACC portable wheeled air conditioner to support class learning in cooler rooms. And the council approves $1,000 for the Children's Christmas Party Group for the purchase of presents for the children. And the council approves $1,000 for the Clare Mill Community Volunteers for the purchase of three stainless steel stock pots, one electric griddle, two electric coffee tea urns, two sided fry pans, two packages of divided fruit, vegetable serving platters, and one electric hand mixer. And the council approves $1,000 for the Land O'Lakes Horticulture.
I'm gonna stop you right there. Clare Mill Volunteers, that's only $775, isn't it?
Oh, Larry.
You are correct. It is only $775 for the Claremont Community Volunteer.
Sorry.
So council approves $775 to the Clare Mill Community Volunteers. And the council approves $1,000 for the Land O'Lakes Horticulture Society for the creation of a new kids program, Growing Green Mind. And the council approves $660 for the North Frontenac Amateur Astronomy Club to cover the costs of on-site security and advertising costs. And the council approves $1,000 for the Lions Club of Land O'Lakes for the defrayment of the cost of the Santa Claus Parade, the Holly Shop, and Santa's Workshop. And the council approves $993.94 for the North Frontenac Fitness Group for the cost of equipment, 2 sets of 30-pound weights, 1 set of 20-pound weights, 1 electric ball pump, 8 level 5 resistance bands, 8 resistance pull-up bands, 1 yoga ball, and 1-year subscription for Tabata Timed Music. And the council approves $1,000 for the North Frontenac Historical Society and Archives for the purchase of 1 mannequin, preservation boxes, an archival replica of spyglass, veteran badges and medals, and a cloth backdrop for stage area. The council denies the request for $1,000 for the Tampa Community Center to help with the purchase of topsoil, as this project will need to be further reviewed by township staff, and budgeting can be considered by council for the 2027 budget after staff review and recommendation. And the council approves $221.19 for the Cloyne Pickleball Club for the rental of 2 gyms, pickleball mats, and insurance. And the council approves $660 for the Plevna Haunted Walk for materials, safety improvements, and props. The council approves $1,000 for the North Frontenac Backroad Studio for the purchase of advertising and studio signage. And the council approves $690 for the Cloyne Recreational Volleyball League for the rental and insurance coverage of the gym.
Final comments? Yes, Wayne.
Did I hear great, the Cloyne Pickleball Club there? The way I read this, the application funding is for $1,000 and only $221 of the application element.
Brooke?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. So their costs that they submitted weren't eligible, so they were asking us to pay for costs that they've already paid from last year. So I've only recommended approving the costs that are in the future for the policy this year. pay for costs that are already paid for in the past.
In favor? Carried. Okay, and that brings us to item 11F. Failed tax sale properties.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Hudel, seconded by Councillor Hermer. Be it resolved, the council receives for information the treasurer's administrative report entitled Options for the Failed Tax Sale Properties from April 23rd, 2026. And the council wishes to vest the property not sold through the public tax sale process described as 1042-090-010-00125-0000. And the council instructs the treasurer to transfer the costs of the written off municipal taxes, penalty and interest and legal fees from the operating contingency reserve in the amount of $6,465.57, plus any additional fees to complete the transfer of Rule 1042-090-010-00125. And the council instructs the Public Works Manager to arrange a Phase 1 environmental site assessment on the property described as 1042-090-020-03800 and bring back recommendations to council once the study has been completed. And the council instructs the treasurer to transfer the cost of the Phase 1 environmental site assessment from the operating contingency reserve and bring back to council for further consideration before vesting.
Comments? Okay, so the one property is on China Road is going into the waste site there. That's not an issue. The other one though, is that little old gas station at the corner of South Levan Road and 509. And there's a good chance there's gas tanks in the ground and they'll be old, single wall and rusted. If they're not leaking, they could very easily be damaged when they're being removed, contaminating the ground, and we'll own the problem. And if the problem was just a shovel full around the tank, that's fine, but if it's migrated, that could cause issues. So they're asking for a Phase 1, which is just basically, Darren, I'm asking you for this. This is just basically a book search. What's on that property?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, through Phase 1 is a overview. Just determine if there are potentially problems, but without a extensive or invasive investigation or sampling. So
That was a gas station, and we know that there's potential of those tanks are still in there.
I understand the tanks are still in there. But I mean, we haven't had we haven't had issues or history of issues, or we're not aware of any issues at the site.
Why would we take over? This is like taking over the mine site. Why would we do that? Tell me.
If we don't, oh, sorry, Vern?
Well, this is a similar situation as RDOT. That sale went through, but once it was disclosed, there was gas tanks in the ground, the buyer backed out. So, I mean, we're gonna run into the same problem here.
Just for clarity, this was up for a tax sale, right, Kelly? And we get no bids on it.
So the property was put for tax sale. We had a public tax sale and we received no bids. Just due to the location, we have not vested properties in the past. So this is one because it's on the corner of the road and across from Public Works garage that we thought there might be interest. So as part of conversation though, is if we don't vest it, that's fine. But at some point, we do have to find a way to make this property a viable property again. So the other options is similar to the mine. We can reduce the price and try and tax sale it again. But there's also a few of the neighbors are doing what they call an RFP. So again, so they really wouldn't be paying anything and people would bid and determine, and we would look at the best option to make it a viable property that is then generating taxes and collecting taxes again. So, I mean, ultimately, we are trying to clean up some of these properties that have been sitting around for a while and trying to make them viable properties again. So, I mean, there are, you know, a few options on the table. We just thought due to the location, it might be something the township would want to best.
If we could re-advertise it. Right?
Yeah, we can re-advertise it, so I would recommend probably reducing the price to re-advertise, or you can leave it with the same price. It continues to accumulate
it?
taxes. And it's around 45,000 right now.
So we vested, we get a $45,000 hit on the books, right?
Yeah, some of it would go back to the county and education, but we would still have a good chunk of that.
It could cost us $4,000 to clean it up, or 40,000 or 400,000.
Yeah, so so our portion right now would be 41,000.
What do you think, council? What do you think, Mike?
Reducing the price? I don't think so. Keep advertising it. If we can't use it for the garage, advertise it for sale, but I don't agree on reducing the price. It's a seal as it is.
Are you? You've actually cleaned the building up a little bit. I noticed that coming over today. Have you, so you're okay with advertising it again? Okay, yeah. Wayne?
Yes, I'm okay with advertising again, but if it takes to reduce the price to get it off our books, reduce the price.
Yeah, I think you have to reduce the price. There's no way that someone's gonna buy this, knowing that there's a gas tank underneath.
Councilor Fowler?
I think it's an environmental issue and the possibility of an old gas tank too. Catch out of the bag, we know it now. I didn't know it at the time, but
Are you in favor of relisting it?
re-listening it and try to sell it at a lower cost.
Councilor Hermer?
I would say reduce it because not only was that a gas station, it was also a garage. So there's a lot of waste went somewhere.
I will, go ahead.
Kelly, just clarification. So if we reduce the price and no one buys it, we are stuck with that property, correct?
But we don't have to vest it. So then I mean, we need to come up with a process that we either have council write off the taxes on it every year, but then you have a property that just, and it has a building on it, that will continue to be probably.
Who is responsible for it environmentally?
I mean, I don't know, the Ministry of Environment would probably come in, as they did in the one property right in Plevna. Came and did some remedial work, and then what happens is it goes against the property, so we hold a huge bill on the one property in hopes that somebody would pay it someday. So ultimately, ministry would come in and clean up, and they would put their bill on their tax roll, which then we try to sell it. We can't because the bill is huge. And then eventually they may take off the kind of amount that they put on it.
It's really a no-win situation for North Frontenac.
It is. I mean, we eventually will end up with, you know, a bunch of these properties, and that's kind of where we're at this point, is we have some properties that have been, you know, around for a while, and we've kind of sat on them because of it, but it's not going to fix the problem, and they're not out there being viable properties. So we can, like I said, reduce the price and try advertising again because somebody may be interested.
Hey, what's the zoning and what's the size of the property?
I don't think I have that with me. I don't have that.
I don't think
in
it's
front
very
of me.
big.
No, I don't think it's a very big problem.
So it's like the general consensus is we advertise again and we lower the price. Do we have to tell you what we think it should go, should be listed at, or do you just do that?
No, so I would need direction from council if you want me to reduce it, by 50% or, give me a percentage to reduce it by, and then we can do that, knowing that, there'll be more legal fees and that attached to re-advertise.
Well, the longer we keep it, the greater the tax hit, even though it's a book entry. And eventually we'll end up with it one way or the other, and we're gonna have to most likely clean it up somehow. So even though it might cost us a little bit upfront, I just get rid of the thing. So if we said 50%, we got 50% reduction. Or we said $25,000.
I just think. Stop.
So
You may not be that far off, quite frankly.
So we can reduce it by 50% and try that. If it does not sell, then, it's been on our list to look at the RFP process. And this might be a good option to try that.
Okay, so I'll entertain Vern.
Well, just a comment. How long has the store in Ardoc been sitting?
It's been sitting a while.
We own that too?
We don't own it, no.
Okay.
You will see it coming up.
I've heard about it from the local, so.
It'll be coming up again.
Okay, so I would entertain a suggested amendment to relist it with a price or a percentage reduction. So what's the price? Pardon me? 50%? Everybody good with 50%?
You heard what I said.
We may always do it again. We sold the island and the river, which isn't the Mississippi, which isn't as big as this area, for $12,000. So,
So Kelly, the last paragraph, you no longer need, of course, money for the environmental site, but you need to bring this back to council.
Don't think it needs to come back to council, but I will need the money that we're writing off from the contingency reserve.
we went to an RF. We just put it out there and that's the best price and that's it. Looks like an auction.
That's my understanding. I think what happens is that the properties go for probably next to nothing. But the goal is to get it a viable property. So what happens, my understanding is that people would propose what they're going to do with it. So they may say, I propose to clean up and tear down and build a house or something like that. And someone else is like, I'm going to build a garden and I think then we'd review based on some parameters and pick the best option to make it a good property again.
Thank you. Okay, Tara.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Hudel, second by Councillor Harmer. Be resolved, the council receives for information the treasurer's administrative report entitled Options for the Failed Tax Sale Properties from April 23rd, 2026. The council wishes to vest the property not sold through the public tax process described as 1042-090010000125. And the council instructs the treasurer to transfer the cost of the written off municipal taxes, P&I, and legal fees from the operating contingency reserve in the amount of $6,465.67, plus any additional fees to complete the transfer for 1042-090010000125. And the council instructs the treasurer to re-advertise the property described as 1042-09002003,800 at a reduced cost of 50%. And the council instructs the treasurer to transfer the cost for the money being wrote off from the operating contingency reserve.
Final comments. Mike?
I don't know about this. Can we assign or deal with the real estate agent or broker and have them listed and work with that? Is this something that the township can do or no?
Kelly, can you respond, please?
So we can't do that because we don't own this property. So if we were to vest it, then you could sell it. We have a policy and a process on to selling it. But as of right now, this has been done through the tax sale process, so we do not own the property.
Noted, thank you.
In favor of the resolution as amended and as read? Opposed? Carried. That wasn't just enough money for you, right? Okay, item 12A, Environmental Development Task Force.
Moved by Counselor Hermer, seconded by Deputy Mayor Hudel. Be it resolved, the council receives for information the notes of the Economic Development Task Force dated April 20th, 2026 as circulated.
Comments? In favor? Carried. Item 12B, Environmental Task Force notes.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Hudel, seconded by Counselor Hermer. Be it resolved, the council receives for information the notes of the Environmental Task Force dated April 28th, 2026 as circulated.
Comments? In favor? Carried. Item 12C, excuse me, Committee of Adjustment, Planning Advisory Committee minutes.
Moved by Counselor Hermer, seconded by Counselor Fowler. Be it resolved, the council receives for information the minutes of the Committee of Adjustment Planning Advisory Committee dated March 23rd, 2026 as circulated.
Comments? In favor? Carried. Item 13, does anyone wish to give notice of motion? Seeing none. Item 14A, this is our motions written of notice which has been given by a member at a previous meeting. The first one is Councilor Hermer, rules regarding housekeeping with respect to bylaws.
Moved by Counselor Fowler, seconded by Counselor Hermer, whereas council passed resolution 15526 at their meeting on May 1st, 2026, receiving a notice of motion from Counselor Hermer regarding the rules around housekeeping with respect to bylaws and approved discussing the motion at today's meeting. Therefore, be resolved, the council instructs the clerk to review the process for amending township bylaws passed under the Municipal Act and report back to council.
Comments? Councilor Herman?
Well, the reason I brought this up, I made some notes on the transactions that went on. On January 16th, I asked for amendment to the agenda to discuss councillor attendance at open and closed meetings. I was told that that couldn't be done. It had to be done through notice of motion. So on February 1st, there was a discussion, recommendations were made to staff to come back with the bylaw. On March 20th, the amendment accepted. On April 10th, that received first, second, third reading and was passed. But on the notice of motion, there was also a bottom line saying possible amendments to other bylaws. Well, the process requires that council present this through a notice of motion. That gives the public their notice that a certain bylaw is going to be discussed and certain amendments could be made. That's a requirement. Some unknown person or persons decided to ride along on that motion and amend an unrelated bylaw, which certainly can't be done. Under bylaws, notice the housekeeping rules are restricted to very minor issues. Two major amendments that cannot be made, from what I can discover, are amendments that may change the intent or purpose of a bylaw. And secondly, anything that may restrict or prevent public participation. Both of these incidents happened with this adjoining bylaw that was brought along without any indication that we were even, there was no discussion by council, no direction by council to even suggest that we were interested in changing that bylaw. So how is that possible?
It's your question, because generally I know what you're saying, but you're talking about two bylaws. What's the second one? First one was the procedural bylaw. What's the second one?
The second one was about our public forum,
Then the procedural bylaw.
right?
So it's only one bylaw.
No, they're two separate bylaws. The first one was about councillor attendance.
It's in the procedural bylaw.
Well, it's under the municipal act as well. It's 6.6 under the municipal act.
You can't change municipal law, that's the province.
I know.
I think we should look at this. I'm not arguing with your overall direction here. If we've messed up, then we'll figure that out. But, there's only one bylaw that we're talking about. Everything is inside the procedural bylaw.
But there wasn't any, that notice of resolution, if you look back, it said specifically to discuss councillor participation. It did not mention anything about public forum.
One, okay. So what's the rest of the council think? Councillor Fowler,
We go back and review it and have it come back another time.
that's what the resolution's asking. Okay. Any final comments? In favor? Carried. Okay, so do I have to relinquish the chair for this also? No? Oh, goody, thank you. Request for staff to prepare an organized response to communication strategy regarding the Alto project.
Moved by Councillor Hermer, seconded by Councillor Fowler. Whereas council passed resolution 15626 at their meeting on May 1st, 2026, receiving a notice of motion from Mayor Litkey requesting staff prepare a strategy to ensure North Frontenac residents remain informed and the township is prepared to structure an organized response and if necessary regarding the Alto project. Therefore, be resolved that council instructs the manager of community development to work with Mayor Litkey to prepare a strategy with respect to the Alto project to ensure the township is prepared to organize a response and to ensure residents remain informed.
I put this on here, I suggested it, and I thank council for allowing this to go on. Because I don't want to lose the importance of this. Coming along the hydro cut, if it does, is a potential for it's a viable option. We don't know. There's so much misinformation out there. Much of it's directed at the southern corridor. But there was a lot of comments and the comment period for Alto has closed. And because out of sight, out of mind, there's a tendency to forget. So do we have a responsibility? I think we do, but what should that responsibility look like? So I'm kind of want to open the floor to council for various ideas. Councillor Fowler.
Yeah, I went and I didn't bring it with me. I wish I did. I bought a road map of Ontario. I drew a straight line from Ottawa to Peterborough to Toronto. And it goes right through this area. Goes through Snow Road, goes through Harlow. And I took a highlighter and I highlighted the middle of that so that, you could spread it out a lot more. So it is, if they take the straight line, it'll come through here. They may not because of the terrain or something like that, but as far as I'm concerned, it's coming and we have to be prepared for that. And how is it going to affect all of our properties?
Comments? Councillor, sorry, H.
Doesn't matter.
I got H and Mike. All right. Hey, it never matter. We'll get there.
It's Haj.
Hash. All right, I will get that. I
Okay,
apologize.
that's fine, that's fine. Hage is okay, Haj is okay. Mike is fine, Mike is better. Yesterday, I was meeting with a constituent. He has a trailer, seasonal trailer. He lives in somewhere in the GTA, and he was commenting on this topic specifically, Alto, and he told me there is more awareness and opposition in the GTA than here. He drove here to his trailer, not a single opposition sign anywhere on the road. No Alto sign, nothing, which was kind of surprising. And he was asking me whether we have discussed it, whether we have talked about it. And I told him, yes. Most people do not attend, obviously, and a lot of them don't follow up or check the resolutions that came out after. So they don't know that we are in opposition or we are for it or whatever we are discussing here. It's not out there. Additionally, there are lots of people when we go like towards Peterborough or somewhere, you see no Alto sign on Highway 7. We don't see it here anywhere. That was a comment.
Councillor Hermer?
Well, I understand that they've already started an expropriation process up to the Quebec-Ontario border.
That's where they're supposed to go first, Ottawa to the Quebec border of Montreal. But there's a couple posts on Facebook about it, but that's all. I went, an individual sent me a YouTube video about this, specifically about Bill C-15. And I went and I looked it up this morning, and there's about 4 lines saying the expropriation process for any land related to the Alto train, well, they call it high-speed rail or whatever. There's been changed to do this, and this. But the best information is probably right off the Alto site. There is so much out there. We don't know if it's true, partly true, or completely false. But the individual also sent me a video of a council meeting in a municipality called The Nation, which is southeast of Ottawa. And a part of it was in French, so it was a little hard to follow. But they were looking at distributing or creating a document and then mailing it out to all their constituents. And they backed off that because once they did that, whatever was on that document, they owned. And if there was a change, then they'd have to redo it all over again and be responsible for it. So what they elected to do was to create a obvious link on their website to allow people to find out for themselves. Maybe that's where we should start with one of the items. Because when you go to the Alto site, surprisingly how little information is there, and they say all the right things, but they don't give you any detail. And if this is even close to being true, they could hold your property hostage for 4 years. Up to 4 years. Councillor Hermer.
Well, if we could see maybe the direction that the expropriation is taken to the Quebec-Ontario border, that might give you a good idea where it's gonna go here.
Well, possibly, but it's still, are they interested in Kingston? Yes or no? Are they interested in going south through farmland? Yes or no? Or are they interested in spending a little bit more and taking the easier route through North Frontenac? I did approach the mayor of Central Frontenac, to ask what they were doing, and basically I didn't get any support. I actually talked to her twice, and I did talk to Tony Fish from Addington Highlands, and I got a really nice response, basically saying, we're waiting to see what you do. So, and I may be paraphrasing that a little, but how active do we want to be, council? Deputy Mayor?
Well, there's nothing wrong with giving out proper information. As we've seen in the past, there's a lot of misinformation out there. So my question is, where would we put this? Engage Frontenac? Is that something we would say? And then you're saying, go to the Alto site, that's the source, but that's the only source we have, right?
What if we put an obvious link on it? This is Alto, this is what it's about. There's a paragraph or two here. Take it right off their website and then put this nice big green or whatever white link that says, for more information, click here. And it says Alto, and it takes you right to the Alto website. Then everybody can decide for themselves what they read and what they don't want to read.
Because we've been given no information. The only information we've received is the one presentation in November or whenever he came, right? That's the only information that we have. We haven't been involved in any meetings or any anything like that. So I'm not sure what information we can give out besides where to go yourself and look.
My only worry, if we do that without signaling our opposition, it might signal that we are encouraging or promoting. If we just put go, this is the outside. I believe as a township, we have to at least signal our opposition.
We do have a resolution. But we can put that in that initial 1 or 2 paragraphs. Like of all our lake associations, the only one I've seen that's been really proactive, and I think they're working hard at it, is Cache Lake. I haven't heard anything from the Mr. Segagon or Shabamiko or any of the others.
That's correct. That's what I'm saying. If we just put it out there, it might signal that we are for it. If we put our resolution or mention that the township has issued a resolution opposing this, at least this will give the people the idea that we are in opposition.
I don't think this council has given any, we said we've been against it from day one, so if anyone is thinking that we're for it, I don't know where they're getting that from.
Okay, well, we can do that. Councilor Good?
We can start out by that, there's a sign out here in the front yard there, it says, could say no also.
Should we invest in some yard signs, like election signs? Like, 30 or 40 of them or 20 of them, or whatever, put them on the main roads?
I was down to Kingston, day before yesterday, and, I seen it along the 41 highway and down through County Road 4. There's lots of no alto signs along there.
I've seen them too, but who's putting them up? Are they residents or are they municipal government, right?
But we
Residents.
we could buy them, sell them to the residents for $5 or $10. The cost is about 10 or 12 bucks for a sign with the wire. That's what election sign was worth. I've quoted another candidate from another riding or another jurisdiction told me it was about 12 bucks for a flash sign and a wire, which is what was in the ground. So we can maybe buy 20 or 30 of those and put them around on the main roads, which would really be 506, 509, and Buckshot Lake Road.
Harlow Road?
Right. So, I want to talk to you about that later, but yes,
Realistically, do you think a few signs will change their opinion now?
it's not about changing opinion, it's keeping people aware of what's happening. Because everybody's sort of backing off, and then even when we did this, there was a lot of comments from people in the North Corridor. But the corridor on social media, the South really just hammered it. Some of them are even being afraid of creating a petition and being sued, which is a possibility, so they want to incorporate. So that's really interesting. So, do we want to set this back till the next meeting and think about it for 3 weeks? And maybe just move forward right now with the link and the 1 or 2 paragraph blurb?
I was just gonna say, maybe our CAO could check out if we're even legally able to do something like this. The township supplying signs, I would hate to.
Scott Reed was doing that. I don't know. There's one sitting in the hall at Snow Road, and they asked me for permission to put it up on Glenhaven Township property until we get approval. So, Corey, you have a comment?
Yeah, and I can certainly ask if that's what council would like me to do that. I can certainly look into that. It's up to council. It will cost a little bit, but I can do that.
Just call also.
No, I think Roy's asking for a legal opinion here as to whether or not we can do this without causing.
I have no problem with residents putting up signs. It happens all the time. I'm asking, can the township buy the signs and pass them on to residents? Under the municipal act, I don't know it in the back of my hand.
We charge the residents for it.
Asking if it's kosher, that's all I'm asking, right?
Councilor Hermer?
Maybe it would be more effective to have someone in the private sector start a petition and then present it to council, and we could present it to the MP.
Well, anything's possible. I don't know, I can't comment on that. But they've made it really clear that the comment phase is done. You can argue that the information was substandard, that was available, and whatever, but it is what it is. I personally think they're coming, whatever way they go, they're just gonna do it, that'll do it. Put it in the bill in Parliament, that's pretty significant. Wayne?
I just wondered what the Algonquins think of this whole thing too.
No idea.
They likely pull more weight than we do.
Probably do it. They probably have organized or probably have a deal with them too. I mean, they're really good at this stuff. Counselor Fowler, then Counselor Hagan.
Hey, you get me a sign, I'll put it up on my fence, I'll blame my wife for it.
Counselor Hagan?
My opinion, we can start with our website and social media, put something, and then check Cory when he checks about the signs. If it's okay, then we'll discuss, decide on this later. That's what I think.
And I also like to make also a standing item on our agenda between now and the end of this council. So we don't forget it, but don't have to ask. Maybe there's no information to share, but it's just like business arising or presentations and whatever. Can we do that?
Or would you like to put it under your portfolio?
I can.
Well, because this is instructing you to work with Brooke to prepare strategy with respect to the project, which could include getting legal advice. And then I'm going to add, because of the discussion, the council instructs the manager of community development to add a link to the waste, social media and Facebook wording and the link. And then I could add it to your portfolio to report. And then it would be each.
Yes.
Then do another way of getting it. Without paying.
Okay, so why don't we just pass the resolution as it is? And one of the things that Brooke and I'll work on is checking on the link, and Cory can check on how legal it is, or what can we do with signs and so on? You know, we may have to think of, we need focus groups and whatever else. I don't know what's gonna happen. We really don't know. Maybe it won't even happen for a couple of years. If they're focusing on Ottawa and Montreal, maybe 4 or 5 years. Counselor Fowler.
Sign that they have at Snow Road Community Center. Should we be addressing that in front of council?
It's not up yet.
You know, is it okay for them to put it up on our building?
What's legal here? Cory?
What's the sign? I don't know what the
Also-
sign is.
Also with a.
So is it, so
Scott
who
Reed
wants to
sign.
put it on the building?
Jerry was saying that there is a sign at Snow Road that the members of the, I guess, the community group would want to put it up on the Snow Road hall or on our property. So should we be giving them the permission to do that or not?
It's up to, does council want to give them permission? If you do, then, you know, typically we don't allow people to put signage and stuff like that, you know, up at our, on our municipal property. But if it's something that council wants to approve, then that's fine. That's up to council.
But on the other hand, they can move it just outside the fence and put it on the post and it's on the right of way. Like an election sign. Right?
Yes, they could. But I mean, again, if you're thinking you want these signs up on municipal property, then we'll add that to the resolution.
Okay,
That's
but I
fine.
just want to make sure that, I want to make sure that this council is always on top of what's happening and that we're in touch with our residents as much as we reasonably can. And then with additional action that we can take, then we should do that. And that's what Brooke and I'll work on over the next 3 to 4 weeks. And we'll bring that back to council for consideration. I got Councilor Herman first.
I don't think we should set a precedent of allowing signs to be posted on our public property like this.
Okay, Deputy Mayor.
That's why I'm asking for legal opinion. Are we even allowed to do that, right? So.
Yeah, if you want a legal opinion, I'm more than happy to get it. You just tell me what you want, I'll do it.
And the amendment reads, therefore be resolved, the council instructs the manager of community development to work with Mayor Lake Key to prepare a strategy with respect to the Alto project to ensure the township is prepared to organize a response and to ensure residents remain informed, including legal advice on what is permitted.
Comments? In favor? Carried. Okay, council portfolios. Bear with me a second here. The last one, so the first one up is the mayor. Been a fairly quiet 3 weeks. We had a county council meeting yesterday. We had an overview of the National Heritage Study. I made a note to, or a comment to Councilor Good a minute ago about Harlow area. Just south of Harlow, there's this Kennebec watershed, which is really important. And that's on this map. It gives you the different overviews of the amount of water, the amount of the watershed we have and so on. Surprisingly, South Frontenac is more water than we do. Maybe because they're all lowland and, close to the lakes and so on. So that was really interesting. And what isn't also with that is the government of Ontario uses Marzan software. Let's call it Marzan. And we're looking at a county level to take this and do a much more in-depth. Make sure everything is tied together and so on. And we had discussions about will that impact development and so on, but we're waiting to see what happens. So, and it'll be on Engage Frontenac when it comes out, I think next week. The community paramedic program, paramedicine program, where paramedics come to your house, has been quite effective. We've had it going for 2 or 3 years. And they can really do enough relation, they do blood pressure, check your vitals and so on. And if you are really in need and don't have a bed to go to in a proper institution and need help, they may be there 3 or 4 times a day. So they're fully licensed paramedic, they drive an SUV, and they're fully equipped. But the government of Ontario is basically flatlining the amount of money they're putting into this, even though they know it's really a good program, and we're short by $30,000. So the question, we agreed to pay that or fund that $30,000. The question became, here's another government of Ontario program that really works, but are we funding it on the back of the local taxpayer? So we're advocating for more right through the Imperial Eastern Ontario Warden's Caucus as well. The doctor, we remember the last meeting, we had a resolution to ask the county. We were successful and we have $15,000 coming, $3,000 a year over 5 years. I did suggest to go to 5 and I didn't get anybody jumping at it, but that's good. They did ask how much was in the fund and what we had done with it. It's only, we funded some small stuff, but they put 17,500 into Frontenac Islands to do a 1-year pilot project for a nurse practitioner. They really don't have anything there. And it was the first time we'd seen Frontenac Islands put their own money up. And it didn't hurt that we said that the services happen more of North Frontenac, significant portion of the Valley Islands, and a portion of the northern part of Central Frontenac. So it was unanimous. So we got $15,000 coming over 5 years. And then finally, and most of you know, Corey, Deputy Mayor, Councillor Hermer, and myself, and Darwin traveled to Smith Falls, and we had the official announcement from Premier Ford for our $1,022,000 change grant to rebuild sewers and water mains and all the silver work in Plevna. This had been announced much earlier, but the mayor was in town and John Jordan arranged for us in the mayor's fall to come and it was a photo op. The premier on it was really nice to meet. He's a very interesting gentleman, that's for sure. So, and that's about it. The next one up is Councilor Good.
Yes, I'd like to start with, I seen a map a few years ago that they brought it in here for the watersheds and that was wrong. I'd like to see that one, just to see if they corrected that, what I told them. And as far as the KGM, the catch washer at Lake, sorry, AGM, catch washer at Lake Association is cited that I lines on off it, but I plan on attending that.
Yeah, very good. All right, and Councilor Haig.
Same, for the Kashwak Association, and as for the family health team, the board meets quarterly, so the next meeting is in June, so nothing there since the last report.
Thanks, Mike. Councilor or Deputy Mayor Huda.
So we had our MDCA board meeting last Monday. It was quite interesting. The board approved security cameras on some of the assets that the MDCA owns. There's been some vandalism, particularly on the KMP trail. So there's going to be some security cameras put up there and to sort of hopefully prevent that. The week before that, we at the Finance and Admin meeting, we approved the 10-year capital plan. And then at the board meeting, we had just under $400,000 because of the damage at the Mazenau Dam last week. So that's going to be taken care of next year. And I think you remember that we talked about the transition team moving forward to the Regional Conservation Authority. Sally and I are on that committee, and they've posted the executive member for that committee if anybody would like to apply for that. You can get up to $220,000 a year.
Councilor Hermer.
Just a comment about doctor recruiting. I seen where Kingston has received a considerable amount of money from the province to go towards doctor recruitment. And on the previous council, we passed a resolution requesting reimbursement for the money that we've invested in doctor recruitment. Maybe in the future, we should think about passing another one.
That's the one we presented to Andy and Highlands twice, and they turned us down twice. They wouldn't co-sign it.
Like,
Yeah. Did it actually go to Kingston or to go to the Southeast Health Unit?
it was supposed to have went to all 444 municipalities.
Okay, well, sorry. Okay, I'm not aware of it. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist, by any means. And we'll follow up on that. Okay, because usually they do a lot of that through the health units. But that will be right across Ontario. Okay, so Councilor Fowler.
Yes, the Eastern Ontario Trail Alliance, we had a meeting on May 14th, and our North Frontenac agreement has been signed. The way the money is handled is the contractor will do the work, and correct me if I'm wrong, Brooke, the EOTA will create a fee directly to the contractor, right? Yeah. Thank you. Seniors and law enforcement together, we had the last week we had the presentation at Snow Road. We had 32 people attend. The topic was holistic health, but it ended up being really about motivation and exercise. And the presenter did a real nice presentation. It was very interesting. And then the Frontenac Ontario Provincial Police Board, our next meeting is June 18th.
Yeah, Councilor Inglis is not here today. So that then takes us to item 16, introduction and reading of bylaws.
Moved by Councillor Fowler, second by Councillor Hermer. Be resolved that leave be given to the mover to introduce the following bylaws that have been circulated to all members of council. Bylaw 2026-32 to stop up, close and sell Shore Road allowance, and bylaw 2026-33 to appoint Compliance Audit Committee for the 2026 municipal election, and that these bylaws be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed.
Final comments? In favor? Carried. That brings us to the public forum, and we will entertain anyone who wishes to make comments about items we specifically discussed today. Questions are included in that. So is anyone in the council chamber want to make a comment? Anybody online, Kelly?
If there's anyone online that wishes to make comment, please use the raise hand feature. Seeing none.
Thank you. Okay, that takes us to the closed session. So 6:40, we'll take a break to 6:45. We'll have to clear the council chamber and we'll go into a closed meeting. Thank you to everybody who attended. Oh, sorry.
Moved by Counselor Hermer, second by Counselor Fowler, be resolved that council retires to closed session at 6:40 PM to adopt minutes of a closed meeting held May 1st, 2026, to discuss a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board, specifically to discuss negotiating a drainage easement, to discuss personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, specifically a request for training for township committees, and to receive for information a request under the Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection and Privacy Act, if the council, board, commission, or other body is the head of an institution for the purposes of that act.
In favor? Carried. Thank you.
For those that are online, we will be going into a breakout room. You can remain online or, and then join back in.
Welcome back, everyone. We have risen from our closed meeting in which we adopted minutes of the closed meeting held May the 1st, 2026. We discussed the proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board, specifically to negotiate a drainage easement, discussed personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, specifically a request for training for township committees, and receive for information a request under the Municipal Freedom of Information Protection and Privacy Act if the council, board, commission, or other body is the head of an institution for the purposes of the act. Please.
Moved by Counselor Fowler, second by Counselor Hermer, be resolved that bylaw 2026-34, being a bylaw to confirm all actions and proceedings of council for its regular meeting held May 21st, 2026, be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed.
Final comments? In favor? Carried. Adjournment.
Moved by Counselor Hermer, second by Counselor Fowler, be resolved the council adjourns the meeting at 7:21 PM until June 11th, 2026, or at the call of the chair.
In favor? We are adjourned. Thank you one and all for coming. Thank you.